My boyfriend showed up to my house randomly one day. I had just woken up and I got ready so fast in my room. Mom told him that he could wait in the living room. She ended up jumping in the shower. I went outside to the living room and we ended up going to his house. And I was there. My mom called me. She said that there was $350 on the table and that one $50 bill was missing. I couldn't believe what I was hearing, but I had to find out the truth. So I told him to take me to Jack in the Box. We went through the drive-thru. I was so mad, but I had to keep it together. I knew that he only paid with 20s. He never paid with 50s. I ordered my food and I was waiting to see what bill he pulled out. And guess what, guys? It was a $50 bill. Then I looked at him and told him, don't pay with my mom's money. I grabbed my purse, pulled out a 20, and told him, pay with my money. His eyes just popped open. He knew he got caught.
This story time is from a follower, and she really needs advice. By the way, we're calling her Wilhelmina. Wilhelmina is 23, and she takes care of her mom. Her mom is obese, so she can't do things like wash herself, feed herself. She can't even barely move. Her life is just surrounded by just making sure her mom is okay. But Wilhelmina has been feeling depressed because she doesn't go out with her friends, and she mostly just spends her time inside the house with her mom. She really wants to move across the country and have a more exciting life and just live for herself, but she just feels so bad leaving her mom behind. And she's afraid that something might happen to her while she's gone because no one is there to help take care of her mom. She needs some advice on how to work out the situation, so please comment down below some advice.
I've been a divorced mom for the last 6 years. I was married to my ex for 15 and we had 4 kids, 1 bio and 3 adopted. We were doing really well with co-parenting up until he met his recent girlfriend. From the start, she made it obvious that she didn't like me and I truly don't know why. When we first met, I tried to introduce myself and she rolled her eyes at me and didn't talk to me the whole time. For months, I tried to make amends in case I did anything wrong, but she never responded to any of my messages. When I finally talked to her, it didn't go well. She cussed me out saying that I wasn't going to take her man. I told her that I didn't want him and I just wanted to get along for our kids' sake. She didn't care and slammed the door in my face. From then, I just tried to keep the peace, which was hard to do because she would talk behind my back and post nasty things about me online, which almost cost me my job. The big problems, however, started 8 months ago. She started talking bad about me to my children and wouldn't stop no matter how many times I told her not to. Things really went south when one night she had the kids and made a roast for dinner. My youngest is deathly allergic to carrots and wasn't touching the food because she obviously didn't want to cause an allergic reaction. That's when she started screaming at my daughter, telling her that she needs to eat. My daughter explained that she was allergic, but she wasn't having it even after my other kids tried to tell her. However, she called my daughter a liar and wasn't taking no for an answer. After my daughter explained to my ex's new girlfriend that she's deathly allergic to carrots and that's why she's not eating her food, the girlfriend goes nuts. She accuses my daughter of lying even though my 3 other children back up my daughter about being allergic. She tells my daughter that she's going to sit there until she eats everything on the plate. Obviously, she didn't eat it and had to sit at the table, awake until school the next morning. When my ex's girlfriend came to the kitchen, she saw the uneaten food and my daughter who had fallen asleep at the kitchen table. She wakes her up by violently grabbing her arm and starts whipping her with a belt. Later that day, I picked up my kids from school and saw that my daughter was covered in bruises on her legs and her arms and she was half awake. I was furious when my kids explained what had happened. I don't hate my children and my youngest 3 were adopted out of abusive households, so I was terrified how this affected them. Aside from that, she had no right to put her hands on my children. I went to their house and argued with them for 2 hours. My ex has always agreed with me on this subject, but suddenly his stance changed and he told me that I was being dramatic. I left and took them to court. I won and she's not allowed near my children at all. However, this has now started drama within our family and friends. They're now engaged, so technically she would now be their stepmom. People are telling me to drop the restraining order and make amends because they're family now, but I don't know. I want to keep my kids safe. Should I give her a second chance?
You guys are not even going to believe it when I say that when I was 15, I almost became a stepmom. Yes, we did skip a few chapters, so let's start from the beginning of the book. Back in the day, in middle school, there was this new bad boy in town. And for the purpose of the story, his name will be Dean. So Dean was a little bit older, but he would date some of the middle school girls. A little sus, I know, but even beyond this man had a bad reputation. And I did my best to stay away from guys like him. That was until the second quarter of my sophomore year in high school happened. And while my mom and I were walking around Walmart looking for a pair of jeans, we ran into Dean's mom. Well, our mom started talking and bonded really well. And that's when his mom suggested that we would be a really cute couple. She talked about how much he's changed, so I went ahead and added him on Snap. And the insane thing is that we actually started having really good conversation. Like deep existential ones. But one night I was bored and started to creep on his Instagram account. And I came across a gender reveal photo. This man had a whole son on the way. And I accidentally liked the photo and that's when I got a text from Dean saying, go ahead, ask me. So part 2 to me almost becoming a stepmom at the age of 15. So when he asked me about liking the gender reveal photo, I just decided to go ahead and play it dumb and be like, what? And then he tried to act like that text was meant for someone else. And then I go, are you sure you didn't want to ask me about your kid? He was literally so embarrassed and thought that I would think of him differently. But he told me that him and that girl broke up, so I honestly didn't care. I was just like, so I could potentially be his stepmom. And he was like, yeah, I would actually love that. So we continue to snap and talk as normal and start to date. I caught feelings for Dean so hard. But one night when we were snapping, I got really excited and opened it up. And it was some girl. It said, "Who the F are you and why are you snapping my man?" I was like, "Me and Dean have been talking." And she was like, "I'm his baby mama and girlfriend." So I literally told her everything that this man had said to me and that he was in love with me. But then I blocked him on everything because I didn't want to break up their family. Ladies, if a baby mama is involved, always do that little extra bit of stalking to make sure they're really not together. Follow my Insta.
I got pulled over today, and the cop comes to my window and goes, license, registration, and proof of insurance. And I look at him, I say, "Officer, I don't have my license on me, I don't have my registration, I don't have any proof of insurance." So then the cop looks at me and goes, "Then why the hell were you speeding? I caught you going 90 and 65. And I look at him and I say, "Officer, the reason I was speeding was because I just killed my girlfriend. I chopped her up and I put her in my trunk." So the cop backs off my window, says, "Listen, boy, wait right here." And he calls every cop in the area to come look at my car. So my car is now surrounded by cops, and the chief of police does a whole check. He checks my trunk, and all he finds is a backpack. So then he comes to my window. So the chief of police comes up to my window and says, "Listen, the officer who pulled you over said you had no driver's license, no proof of insurance, no registration, and that you just chopped up your girlfriend and put her in the trunk. But when I looked in the trunk, all I found was a backpack. I found nothing." And I look at the chief of police and I say, "Yeah, I know. This lying son of a bitch probably told you I'm speeding too, right?"
I had just moved into my first apartment with my boyfriend. On move-in day, my boyfriend was working, so I started moving things alone. I noticed my neighbor, who is a man probably in his late 60s, was watching me the entire time, so I waved as I was going into my apartment. When I walked out of my apartment, he was standing outside my door and said, "I guess I should have helped you." That was the last encounter I had for about a week. My boyfriend had never seen this man, so I assumed he believed that I lived by myself. My next encounter, it was about 11 p.m. and I took my dog outside to go potty. I looked up and the same man was watching me from his blinds. I was extremely creeped out, so I looked away and tried to get my dog to hurry up. I looked at his blinds again and he was no longer there. About 30 seconds later, my dog started to freak out and lunge. So I looked and the man came outside. The first thing he said is, "I just wanted to let you know I walked into your apartment." My friend used to live here and I got confused. He stumbled over his words and got into his car. My boyfriend was in the living room before I took the dog outside, so I rushed inside to talk to him. He immediately started talking about it. He said this man opened the door and began to walk in, but they made eye contact. As soon as he saw my boyfriend, he hurried and shut the door and went to talk to me. I haven't had an experience since the last time I saw him, but from everything that has happened, it's easy to assume that this man thought I lived alone and was planning on waiting for me in my apartment. And that is the end of my first story time. I just want to take the time to apologize for taking so long. It is my first time and I didn't have content, but I promise to never ever do that again. I will always have part 2 ready for you guys. But if you have a story that you would like to share, just DM me on Instagram and I would love to make a video using your story. Alright, bye guys. Thank you for supporting me.
One of the most insane serial killers I have ever learned about, I still to this day believe didn't work alone. So you guys know Jack the Ripper, right? Well, this guy not only outlasted and outdid him, but he put New York in one of the biggest states of fear and taunted investigators for years. Before we get into who he is and why I don't think he acted alone, let's talk about what he did. The first kill he ever made was stabbing 2 young girls on Christmas Eve of 1975. At this time, New York was an absolute shambles. People were being killed and assaulted all the time. Robberies were happening, bodies were being found, and the police really couldn't keep up with everything, so whenever this happened, it wasn't like a big news headliner. Well, a few months later, 2 girls were shot sitting in their car. Both of them ended up surviving, but it happened so fast that they didn't have any information on the suspect. Just some .44 caliber bullets left on scene. Well, the next attack occurred whenever this couple was sitting in a car. They reported that the whole car felt like it exploded, and the girl looked over and saw a bullet wound in the guy's head. Because of the bullets used, the police were able to make the connections.
Here's another toxic best friend story time. And ladies, you're gonna wanna hear this one. So, one day in school, I met this boy, which we're gonna call Tyrone. We became friends, like really close friends. And over time, he asked me to be his girlfriend. And of course, I said yes. Because, I already had a secret crush on him already. And, everything was cute for a while, until he started to act very distant, and I was very confused. He wouldn't give me hugs, kisses, and he wouldn't spend no time to really see me. Until randomly, his girl best friend had told me that he was cheating on me. She sent me message screenshots, but I didn't know they were fake at the time. And seeing that, I was like, no, I'm done, and I broke up with him. For a whole year, I didn't speak to him. And weirdly, he started dating his best friend. But then we started to talk again, but just as friends. Ended up finding out that he didn't cheat on me. And his now girlfriend broke us up.
Part 2 of my darkest catfishing secret. So after Emily admitted to our catfish profile, Scott, that she loved him, we made Scott very sick and eventually die off. We made another fake account of Scott's sister and had her deliver the news to Emily about Scott's passing. Emily was devastated. She reached out to me as myself and her ex-friend and said that she needed a friend to talk to because she was so depressed from Scott's passing. She told everyone at church about it and we all prayed for her continuously. Eventually, Emily healed from Scott's passing and we went our separate ways. A few years later, she started dating a new guy and became pregnant. Marie and I knew about Emily's pregnancy, but we weren't close to Emily anymore, so we only saw photos through Facebook and Instagram. A few months passed and one night I was getting ready to go to bed when Marie texted me. Her text read in caps, "OMG, go look at Emily's Facebook." I was nervous but didn't think anything of it at the time. When I went to Emily's Facebook, I saw a photo of her baby in the most recent sonogram that she posted. The caption on the photo read, "Mommy loves you already, Scott," with a heart. Emily had decided to name her baby after Scott, the boy that she'd fallen in love with and passed away. The boy who was never real and only a catfish account that Marie and I had made to get back at her for breaking girl code. I still feel bad about it to this day. Storytime about my darkest catfishing secret. I had just finished sophomore year of high school and it was summertime. My boyfriend at the time had just broken up with me for another girl named Emily. Emily and I had been friends and went to the same youth group together along with my now ex-boyfriend Andrew. Andrew ended up going to prom with Emily just a few days after he broke up with me. I was heartbroken and extremely mad at them both. I felt betrayed by them, but more so Emily because she was supposed to be my friend and uphold girl code. I wanted to get back at her and brainstormed ideas on how to do so with my best friend Marie. I suggested to Marie that we make a fake online profile of a boy, add Emily, and catfish her. Marie was on board, and one night when we were having a sleepover at our house, we made a fake account. We used photos of a mutual friend that we both knew but Emily didn't know. We named the boy Scott, added Emily, and started talking to her. Some days Marie would talk to her and other days I would talk to her as Scott. We also got a fake number and gave it to Emily so that she could text Scott. Emily and Scott would talk all day, every day. Marie and I even took driver's ed over the summer and Emily was in our class. We would text her during class and watch her reactions when texting Scott. After a few weeks of talking, Emily told Scott that she loved him. However, Marie and I weren't satisfied, so we kicked things up a notch.
Am I the asshole for throwing wine on my mom at my brother's wedding? My mom and I have always had a difficult relationship. I'm her scapegoat and my brother is her golden child. He can really do no wrong in her eyes. I'm expected to do housework every time I visit, while my bro sits around doing nothing. So I don't visit much and I just avoid her. Despite all this, bro and I are still very close and I'm good friends with my sister-in-law. My mom has treated sister-in-law like shit ever since she started dating my brother 5 years ago. My bro and sister-in-law got married in October. They seized the COVID opportunity to have something small, 20 guests total, and it was in their backyard. My mom showed up in a floor-length white dress. Sister-in-law looked like she was going to cry when she saw my mom. So, without thinking, I just grabbed a bottle of red wine.
No!
Uncorked it and dumped the whole thing down my mom's front. Mom flipped out, but couldn't scream at me because there were so many people around. So